Hello you guys, welcome to the Ranting Shop. It's me, Alexia, and today I'm going to be reviewing Filtering on It Season 2 Episode 6. Now, we started off this episode with Alexia and Darian, and Alexia refused to go on a date with Darian because she feels as if Darian is using this show or this experiment as somewhat of a reason to do what he wants to do, and she feels like her feelings are being disregarded as a result. All right, and as I normally do on this review, I am going to continue talking about everything to do with Alexia and Darrion. So Alexia, of course, goes on a date with Monty, and she talks about wanting to focus on herself. But the ironic thing about it is that when Monty mentioned the fact that he was part of a music group, she was the one that brought up Darian and mentioned Darian also being in music. And in the next sentence, she says, well, I don't want to talk about him. I don't want to focus on him. I want to move forward. So it's just very ironic. It's like what she's saying contradicts her. Because on one breath, you don't want to talk about him. You want to focus on yourself, but then you're still focusing on him. It's clear that he's at the back of your brain if you feel the need to bring him up and bring up the fact that he also works in music. So she's saying one thing, but she's really thinking another. So do I think that she is focusing solely on herself right now? No. What I really think it was that she was just angry at him, frustrated at him, and her response was out of anger. It wasn't out of genuine concern or prioritizing herself. Okay, so the date was really cool. Monty's a cool guy. She talks to Dr. Nicole. Dr. Nicole visits her, and she felt like it's better for Dr. Nicole to talk to her one-on-one, because then she gets the opportunity to really vocalize her thoughts. When Darian is there, he overtalks her, he talks louder, overruns. So she feels like she doesn't fully say what she wants to say. She just shuts down. The louder he gets, the more she just decides to retreat within herself. So with just her and Dr. Nicole, she's able to better express herself. So then we find out a bit more things to the dynamic of the relationship, and that is particularly Alexia feeling like she doesn't have a voice in the relationship, because as I said prior, whenever Darian overtalks her or yells, she shuts down and decides to just end the conversation, not because it's been resolved, but because she feels like she cannot get past his yelling, and she cannot get past his over talking. So she just gives up, so to speak, with her feelings being almost overridden, and that's why their problems never get resolved. So she talks about the fact that, of course, because she was a professional basketball player and she played outside of the US, so that puts a big strain on their relationship. And she felt a certain way because within the 14-year time span, he got, I think, 2 women pregnant. So he altogether had 3 children within their on and off relationship. And she felt, of course, she didn't feel good because that's not where she envisioned that her and Darian would be. She thought that if they had kids, it would be together. She thought that if they shared anything, it would be with each other and not inclusive of other people. So of course that had to hurt her. But the sad thing about it is that I suppose Darian made her feel guilty, because he was like, well, we were broken up. And she makes a point, because if you say that, oh, I did this while we were broken up, it's like there's really no means to be angry. It's like you could be angry, but it's almost like your anger is not justified because technically you guys were not together. So when he springs that upon herself, she now, because there's no person to blame because they were not in a relationship, she blames herself, and she feels like perhaps if she was presently there, he would not have had outside children. And so her feeling like she had to put more effort into her relationship basically had a lot to do with her decision to retire from basketball. And according to what she said, basketball is the love of her life. So imagine quitting your passion to be in a relationship with someone, and that person is not expressing or putting you or your relationship as a priority. You're feeling unappreciated, and you feel like you made the ultimate sacrifice, and you're not even seeing the reward of that. That has to be very frustrating from her point of view. According to what Dr. Nicole said, you cannot let Darian take up all the space. This is not Darian's relationship. It's you and Darian's relationship. So you guys have to figure out some type of communication style where both of you are able to share your thoughts without being cut off, because I noticed that Darian continuously calls Alexia's feelings or Alexia's view on things lies. I feel like that is a terrible use of the word lie. It may not be a lie. It's not a lie. It's just her interpretation of things. You cannot tell me that my interpretation of something is a lie, because it's my interpretation. And he continues to do that. And I feel like he does it in a way to shut her down, so that she quits. Because as you hear, she often quits when she feels like he overtalks her, or he doesn't, or refuses to get her point of view. So their relationship has been going on and off for so long, based off of miscommunication, not communicating, not resolving their issues, and that is something that they have to definitely work on. Now, Alexia and Darian did decide to go on a date, as she said that Darian asked her and she decided to, go on a date with him and so on. Now, remember, Darian is not going out on any dates in this particular episode, so he has no choice but to focus on Alexia. The whole time, he's been focusing on himself. And they talk about the condo. She feels like the condo is the biggest issue in their relationship. And the issue is not the condo. And I feel like she's not understanding that the issue is him and his lack of transparency for whatever reason. It's not the condo. If it's because that's the type of situation where if the condo is now the issue and he takes it away, it will be something else. The condo is not the issue. And that's what Dr. Nicole was trying to tell her. And she was like, I don't want to yell. I just want to be able to communicate with you. And he says his feelings are overlooked. Then he brings up her friend and the heart emojis and the fact that he feels like the friend is just waiting for an opening to swoop in and get Alexia. And he's uncomfortable with that. And he's asking her to drop this friend. She's not willing to do that. But he is willing to, I suppose, not do the condo thing anymore, not have that condo anymore. I also mentioned, like, is Darian threatened by Alexia's friend because he knows he's not doing right by her within the relationship? I think that has a lot to do with him and his feelings and thoughts and maybe actions that he's done in the past. Also, when they did come to the meeting space with Dr. Nicole, and Dr. Nicole was asking her about her date, and she mentions that he listens to her, and she's saying that Darian is starting to listen now and everything is good now. And I'm thinking, is it that Darian flipped the switch on her because he's not in the driver's seat anymore? She's the one that had the option. He doesn't necessarily have any option in this particular episode. So is it that he just became this lovable person so that she does not go on another date with the guy? Or is it that he genuinely wanted to meet her halfway? I have no idea. It seemed a lot like he did it and was agreeable and more communicative because he just wasn't in a position to be willy-nilly and to be disrespectful. He wasn't given the opportunity, so he had no choice. I feel like he had no choice. So that's why it appears that the light bulb went off, or that he flipped the switch. But I don't think that's what he or who he is as an individual. So he may have done that just so that she decided not to go on another date, period. Because he knows that he has Alexia right in the palm of his hands, and he knows what to do to get her back if he feels like she's running away too far. So anyways, Alexia decided not to go on another date with Monty. She says she gets friend vibes from him, and that just speaks to the fact that Alexia really is not focused on herself. She says that she wants to focus on herself. She says that she wants to prioritize herself, but I don't think that she has done that at all. And this just proves it. The quickness with which she was able to be satisfied with Darian. Darian didn't have to do much, and she was satisfied. That just speaks to the fact that you're still thinking on a relationship perspective and not on a you perspective. Anyways, Dr. Nicole is stirring up some trouble, guys. So Darian said he did not want to go on another date with Kai. But, it's a show and they want drama. So Dr. Nicole asked Darian to kind of have a closing date with Kai. And he's looking at Alexia like, see, it's not me. Dr. Nicole asked me to do this. It's not me. So I think that's going to stir up some problems, because what he's going to have to do in this date is to basically end things. It's to basically let Kai off smoothly and let Kai know that he's going to work things out with Alexia. But you guys, did you see that preview? Kai is saying that they slept together, guys. Kai is saying that Darian slept with her. I'm assuming within those 4 dates that they went on, he slept with Kai. This is crazy. Wow. Alexia deserves more. Alexia, people could tell you that you deserve more, but if you don't feel worthy, then you're gonna accept whatever disrespect that Darian shows you. Darian apparently slept with Kai, you guys. That's crazy. I cannot see Alexia getting past that. I cannot see Alexia getting past that, because you see now there's no excuse from Darian of, oh, we were not together. You guys are together and you slept with Kai. Now, I don't know if he slept with Kai prior, maybe he knew Kai before, or I'm assuming he slept with Kai within these dates. So that's gonna be a big blow up. I think that is gonna be what ends their relationship. That is gonna be the nail in the coffin. And I cannot wait to see how that goes down. If that is not a wake up call for Alexia, I don't know what is. Because Darian has clearly moved on. We've all seen on social media that they were spotted together on Instagram, and furthermore, I saw the other day that he posted her business, some type of beauty bar or beauty business that she has. So they're clearly good or in a good space, because he's clearly promoting her stuff and not afraid to be seen with her. So that really justifies that Alexia is not with him. Anyways, we're gonna move on to the next couple. We're gonna move on to Eric and Jessica's situation. So Jessica goes, of course, she chooses to go on another date with Shawn, I believe is his name. He comes to the house. Eric is interrogating him, asking him what's your idea for her, what kind of connection you're trying to have with her. I mean, how is he supposed to even answer that? You know, things, if it happens basically, and that's how his response was. And Eric has said that he's very jealous and insecure of her relationship with Shawn, because she feels like if she's going on another date with him, there must be some type of connection that they're forming. Shawn thinks him and Jessica are very compatible. They went hiking. That wasn't hiking, but they did go on, it looks like a park or something like that in a forested area. So they did decide to do that, and they spoke a bit. Shawn is now sharing his feelings with Jessica. They've only been on 2 dates, so to me that's a bit fast that he's mentioning that he likes her and he has feelings for her. And for me, he's a little bit too touchy. Like, you guys have only gone on 2 dates, chill out. Like, it's only been the 2nd date, and he was being extra flirty, extra expressive, telling her he liked her. And for me, that's a little bit too fast. To me, that's a little bit of a red flag, because it's like, you barely know her, she barely knows you, you're already liking her. And he's saying, oh, it's not because of her looks, it's because of something he sees in her. I think that's some BS. He's solely looking at physical attraction, and that is what he is riding on at this point. I don't believe anything he says about not seeing within her and all that BS, because there simply hasn't been enough time for him to be able to gauge how she is internally as a person, as a personality. So that's just BS from him. So Eric's date, Eric has a date, they go play, I believe, was it volleyball? He says he has a type and she fits that type. She's pretty and has a nice shape. She has also an accent. Come to find out, she's from Panama. She's been divorced. When he asked her why, she basically said that they grew in completely different, they grew apart basically, and it happened. She has a kid. Come to find out, Eric also has a child, and they bond on that child friend. He feels like, he mentions the fact that, you know, with Jessica, he feels like he has conversations by himself. He doesn't feel like she's, I guess, receptive in their conversations. Or I believe what it is she is receptive and she does communicate. They do communicate and have conversations. It's just not up to par with what he wants. That's basically what he is essentially saying. The date, you know, was, you know, telling him about her life and stuff like that. He was very satisfied with their conversation. They were rubbing hands, and I was like, oh my goodness, really? So it comes down to the Dr. Nicole session with the other couples and so on. Jessica, to me, it feels as if Jessica used the date, so to speak, just so that she can prove to Eric that yes, she communicates very well, yes, she's very smart, yes, she has depth. I don't necessarily feel like she has a connection with Shawn. In fact, she mentions that, I think the date's name is Shawn. She says that he's too fast for her, he's moving way too quickly, and she's a little bit uncomfortable by that. And but I feel like she definitely used the date to prove to Eric that, hey, I communicate, hey, I'm smart, hey, I have depth. But of course, if Eric is not seeing that, I mean, you could say the other person feels that way about her, but if he's not feeling that way about you, I feel like it's counterproductive to say, oh, well, he says I'm like this, he says I'm like that. It doesn't matter. If he doesn't feel that way, it's not that way for him. She feels like she's constantly in the hot seat with Eric. Eric is questioning her. It's like an interrogation, and he's gonna, I suppose, question her until he feels satisfied. But according to Dr. Nicole, he will not be satisfied no matter how many questions he asks her, because it's basically his insecurities he's basically putting out his own insecurities on Jessica, you know, and that's not fair to her. Eric feels like he does nothing wrong with interrogating her. He says if she has nothing to hide, then I don't see anything with it. But the problem is you're searching for something that's already in your brain. It's not like you're genuinely asking her questions because you genuinely want to know what she was doing. It's like you already have your thoughts and feelings about her and the situation already in your head. So that's why it's dangerous, because if it's already in your head, it's like you already have what it is that you want to find. So you're going about trying to find it, and it's like if you don't get it, it's just because you haven't found it yet, not necessarily because it doesn't exist. And that is what Dr. Nicole was trying to say to him. You're interrogating her, but the questions you're asking or the things you want to find, you're not going to find it. So that's where communication comes in. If you're not feeling like she is able to give you the answers you need, say that to her. Don't question her, don't interrogate her, because nobody likes to be put in a hot seat, you know. And that's it. According to what Dr. Nicole said, something going on with you that you're making something going on with her. That's why I said it's mental. So no matter how many questions you ask her, you're not going to be satisfied, because it's like you're trying to find something in your head. You're not trying to find something genuinely. You're not trying to search, or it's just not productive. And she said either you trust her or you don't, and that's on period. Eric liked his date. He emphasizes that she's very pretty, and of course he does that to get at Jessica, to make Jessica feel a certain type of way. But as I said in the very beginning, this couple does this thing. They like to play in each other's faces all day long. He said that the date felt comfortable divulging information, and why wouldn't she feel comfortable? You guys are on a date getting to know each other, you know. They are. And then Dr. Nicole says something that I've been saying for a long time. They are the same people. Jessica and Eric are the same. They do the same things to each other, expecting the same results from each other. But the funny thing about it is they are unable to see that and work together. Anyways, he said yes to another date with Leilani, and I feel as if they asked Jessica first if she'd like another date with Shawn, she would have said no. Because just based on what she was saying, he was just coming on too strong, too fast. And I think that made her very uncomfortable. So I think if they asked her first, she would have said no. But because Eric said yes to another date with the girl, she's saying yes to another date with the guy. And that is why I say these people are petty. That's why I cannot take their relationship seriously. They just do things to hurt each other. They're not doing things to get ahead with their relationship. They're not doing things to get past situations. They're doing things to one-up each other. And I don't know how long that relationship would be able to last if that's the mindset that they have going into it. I'm just sick of the childishness from both of them. They both are so very childish and insecure. But what they fail to realize is they're the same person. They're the same. Anyways, we're going to move on to the last couple, LaRonda and Shawn. Now, we didn't get a lot of LaRonda again from this episode. I wonder why, but Shawn asked, so they have a sit-down conversation. Shawn is asking her, is this a safe space or should he tread lightly? And that just made me feel like, does he feel as if LaRonda gets too angry? Does he feel like LaRonda doesn't listen to him? And what he says is, LaRonda is not transparent. When she does things, she doesn't include him in her decision-making processes, or when she does do things, she doesn't tell him. So he is or feels left out of a lot of things, and that is what I suppose creates his insecurities and his inability to trust her, because he doesn't know what she does. And I kept saying that in the beginning, that she's very unpredictable, like you don't know what she's doing, where her head is. And I see that more clearly in this episode, because LaRonda said herself, she does her things independently of him. She doesn't really let him know a lot of what she does. She plans her vacations on the whim and is very spontaneous. And he mentions the fact that on one occasion, they were talking, FaceTiming and stuff, and she's in Morocco, and there's two guys in her room. He doesn't know these guys, and of course that makes him quite uncomfortable because he wasn't privy to that information. Shawn feels like LaRonda is not transparent and is not coloring the spaces for him to be comfortable knowing that she's not being unfaithful or disrespectful of their relationship. LaRonda feels as if she's not being heard because Shawn essentially doesn't trust her. And Shawn doesn't trust her because Shawn doesn't feel like she fills in the gaps of a lot of things or outings that she goes on. And I just feel like that's another couple that need to work on their communication. If Shawn feels like you're not being communicative enough with him, make an effort to do that. Maybe that would be able to soothe his insecurity and his lack of trust in her. But my problem is Shawn kind of does the same thing that Eric does, where he places his own scenario on LaRonda and expects LaRonda to act in the same way that he acts. So anyways, LaRonda's date come, they go on a date. I don't see too much chemistry because of course when the date shows up, they had just had a disagreement. So Shawn does not invite the date to the room, to the house, because I feel like he feels like if the date is able to, sense any type of disagreement or dismay, he could take that chance to, I suppose, swoop LaRonda right up under Shawn, and Shawn doesn't want that. So they go on a date. LaRonda is not that attracted to her date, but they do have a similarity in that they do work in corporate America. He works in marketing, she works in sales. He has kids, but he wants his next kids to be in a relationship. LaRonda is seeing some things about the date that she's starting to like. Shawn has another date with a person named Tari. They do yoga. She works in entertainment like he does. They meet with Dr. Nicole. Loronda says that she will go on another date with the guy. Maybe they did not get to speak enough, and she says that, you know, maybe in this particular date they'll get to know each other more. Shawn says he's not going to throw up if Loronda does decide to go on another date. Of course, he says he is attracted to the other girl, but as Dr. Nicole rightfully says, there's a pattern with Shawn in that every date he goes on, he kind of sabotages it, because if it is going too well, he wants to end it because he's afraid of where it will go. And that is very profound, and that is absolutely true. He sabotages his relationship because I feel like he feels like he doesn't want... He feels like if he decides to, you know, move on with his dates, that he might not choose Loronda. And he's afraid of that. And I've been saying this from the very beginning. He doesn't trust himself because he doesn't trust that he will choose Loronda like he chooses her now, you know, and he places this scenario on her, and that's why he doesn't trust her. So he feels like Dr. Nicole says, he doesn't feel as if a date can just be talking. He feels like it has to progress to more things. And so he is unable to fathom that a date can just be talking. And that is why he doesn't trust himself, because it's like the more you go on dates, the more something has to happen. Eventually the kissing will happen. Eventually the touching will happen. Eventually the sex will happen. And he doesn't want it to get to that point. When with Loronda, it's like it's purely talking. It's purely having fun. But I feel like he's unable to fathom that, because from his perspective, it has to progress to something more. You know, and that is what Dr. Nicole was essentially saying. And I have to agree with that. All right, so basically it all stems down to, what does Shawn really want? Do you want Loronda? Do you want to see potential from other situations? It just seems as if he's afraid to really let himself experience it. And then he's asking Dr. Nicole, oh, so when will it be good to, you know, end it and for it to be okay? And like she rightfully says, that's to do with you and your feelings and your mindset. It's not to do with her to tell you, okay, stop going on dates. Be authentic. What do you want as an individual? And I completely understand what Dr. Nicole is saying. Don't put this on me. What do you want? You know, and that's it for this episode. You guys, it's gonna be juicy next episode. Let me know what you think about my review of Put a Ring on It. Do you think I missed anything? Do you have anything that you'd like to add? Let me know in the comment section. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like what I have to say. And see you next time for our review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Bye-bye.